Welcome back to the show, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, heroes and villains. I'm your host, Deshaun Fauntleroy. This is sponsored by iBall Media, powered by Sports Mastery. To learn more, visit sportsmastery.com. I have Alex Rhodes on. I had the pleasure of coaching Alex Rhodes at Lincoln High School, had the pleasure of preparing him for Nike Nationals, had the pleasure of preparing him for, like, within the last 2 months, the U20 World Games. So we did a lot of work, this summer together. Alex is at Puget Sound University, ladies and gentlemen. He is the epitome of the phrase, it doesn't matter the name on the building in terms of going to a school. He's a soccer athlete by trade that has become a well-known sprinter around the world. Welcome to the show, Alexander Rhodes.
Sean, thank you so much for that introduction. It's a pleasure to be here finally.
How did we get here?
It's been I'd say it's a short but very long journey at the same time. We started 2 years ago and we've come a very long way from just being injured on the sidelines, never running a meet to being some of the best in Oregon.
You know, I remember some of them injuries. Listen, y'all, this dude was a known soccer athlete, known soccer goalie, was recruited at the Division III rim, heavy recruit. Puget Sound University in the state of Washington is a difficult school to get into. But Alex, from week to week, it would be his lower back, it would be his glutes. One week it would be his hamstring. And he ran a great split in one of our earlier races. And it was around that time that I found out that his ass was going to soccer practices after our difficult
Yep.
track practices. And I'm like, listen, man, you have to stop doing that. And peace and blessings to his mom and dad. They listened, he listened, and we began to make some magic happen. Tell us about one of your first successes during your senior year.
I think my first success would be one of the very first trainings I had coming back off of injury, if you're talking to the track world. So, we're out for 2 months after the injuries kind of piled up for the start of the season. And then we had a tough 350 workout time trial, and that was really the first day where we kind of realized we have something special. We can really do something special. We stuck with it over the injuries, and we're late deep into the track season, and we can still do something with it.
Yeah. So what he's talking about, ladies and gentlemen, is in his first race that he ran, the first invitational. I think that might have been what, your second race actually
Yeah,
of
yeah.
your
So
senior year.
we ran one opener at home, and then it was the first like actual big meet
Yeah,
that
he's
we
on the
ran.
4x4. During that race, we set the 4x4 record at this particular meet. It hasn't been broken yet. And he ran a 49-12 split and had never really run the 400 before. But it
Hmm.
was during that same meet, coming off the 300-meter curve, that he tweaked his Achilles. We're fortunate enough that he didn't rupture it, and that's when we could kind of see something. So he was out for a whole 30 days. He literally missed the whole month. And as he was coming back, we were working him back in, to getting into sprinting condition. And we got to the point where he could do a 350 time trial, and he came through at 41:26 on the free lap. So that's when we knew that he was back. I find you one of the most confident athletes that I've ever worked with, whether it's football, basketball, baseball, soccer, volleyball athletes. Explain to our audience, where does your confidence come from?
I think it comes from what I did before track, which was goalkeeping. It's an individual sport. You gotta have a little bit of an ego. You need to know that you're good at it if you want to actually perform in games. Because if you make any mistakes, it's gonna be all on you. PKs, it's you and one other guy. You gotta have a special kind of mindset going into it, and I think that mindset really carried over for me for track and field. I find myself in situations where there's a lot of pressure, but I know I mean, I can do it if I can run it in training or something like that. I know I can step out onto a track and perform the exact same.
Yeah, I can appreciate that, man. And ladies and gentlemen, he is the epitome of borderline. He is a fine balance of arrogance and confidence. And you really wouldn't know that until you meet him, get to know his dad, Father Francis, aka John Rhodes,
Roads.
and his mom, Allison. Two incredible individuals. You know, when I was getting to know Alex throughout his recovery process, we were getting to the end where he's feeling a lot better, and we had some heavy. We probably had the top 400-meter sprinters in the state in our league that year.
Hmm.
And Alex got to the point, you know what? I could beat this guy, Noah Zucker, that's now at Colorado State. Later, he said, I can beat this kid, Finn Quinn, that's running at Yale now.
Hmm.
And at the end of his recovery process, he was like, you know what? I could beat the kid from Westview. And at this time, the kid from Westview was running some incredible times. Like out here, we're in Oregon. I think he had broke 47 twice, maybe had a 46 split at the Oregon relays, if I'm correct, and maybe the Jesuit
Yep.
Twilight relays, but he was the crowd pleaser. And when Alex said, you know what, I think I can beat him, I actually thought he was crazy. I mean, the words that I used were, it would not be the right thing to say on this podcast for young
Yeah.
folks. But I thought he was fucking crazy, to say the least.
Hmm.
But then it dawned on me, it's I said to myself, Deshaun, he believes in you. So you have to prove it now.
Hmm.
And that's when, our work and our relationship as far as communication became deeper, as far as like coach and athlete, him listening to me listening to him. And it was perfect timing. And we get to districts, you know, what I remember at districts is that in our league, you have to run at least one race in our district, whether it's varsity or JV. And I think he jogged like a 60 or 70-second
Yeah.
400
A
meter time.
64 second 400 is my district
So
qualifier.
so I saw you fidgeting in the blocks, and later I asked him after the prelims, how did you feel and what did you hear around you?
I mean, I was so nervous, it was technically my first open 400 that I've ever run, and we had a measuring tape to set up our blocks. I had a number in my head that I tried to remember, and I get there and I forget everything. I'm shaking and everything, and so at that point I just throw away the measuring tape, and I just get in my blocks and just kind of just know that whatever I run, I'm gonna run. And I can hear the crowd chirping, kind of like, "Oh, who's this guy who runs a 102 400? This guy's really slow." I'm like, "All right, you'll see, you'll see, you'll see." And I
See
come
what I
up,
mean?
yeah, come up
So
like
when, not to interrupt you, but when
I
when I
hear.
saw you, I saw you fidgeting in the blocks. And if you know me as a coach, I don't talk much on race day or game day. I'm very soft spoken. I'm not raising my voice in particular because I know athletes already have two or three voices in their head. And then they also have mom's voice. They also have dad's voice. So I try to eliminate as many voices as possible. So I remember telling Ryan, I'm like, hey, stand on his blocks and just tell him to calm down. Just talk to him. I'm going to go over here. And I walked off because I knew that you would handle your business.
Mhm.
So tell us about that first race.
Well, the race itself, definitely got out way too hard. It was all right in the end, but I lane one draw, so not. I wouldn't say that was my favorite lane draw, but I come out hot, come out blazing. And I just remember flying down that back stretch, coming around the curve, and that home stretch. I was up in first place, and I remember my head coach, Eric Detman. Love that guy. He's kind of like looking at me, like kind of trying to like make me slow down because I had a little lead and I only needed the top two to go through the finals. But I felt like no, I got to prove something here. I got to fully run this. I got to get a time that shows people, oh, this guy doesn't run a 104. He's someone serious, and I think I ended up going 48.6 on that race.
Yeah, I remember it being 48 mid, and I
Mhm.
remember that precisely. He destroyed everybody like by 20 meters. And then our head coach was like, Deshaun, tell him to slow down. And I'm like, Eric, this is his first race. I'm not telling the fucking Ferrari to slow down, man. I'm just not doing it. I'm like, calm down. It's gonna be forced confidence. And if you know me, you know that I'm heavy into recovery and regeneration. And I was 100% confident that that race was on Wednesday. We had an off day Thursday. So we had Wednesday night, we did recovery. He came out to the lab. Thursday, we had a shakeout. He came out to the lab, and then we did some early morning work on Friday. So I knew that he would be ready. So we get to the finals. You have your fellow compadre Nathan Davidson, who had
Yep.
broke 50 several times throughout the season. You have Noah Zucker and you have Finn Quinn, like the heavy hitters in the state outside of Fuad that was at Westview at the time. So take us through the finals.
I mean, coming in, it was second in the state, Finnegan Quinn, third Noah Zucker. Actually, I was third at the time. Noah Zucker was fourth, and I think Nathan was fifth or sixth at the moment. So I knew that that was the race where, I actually had a chance to prove myself. And if I said I wasn't nervous, that'd just be a straight up lie. I was going through it. I'm not gonna lie, but I get up to the blocks like normal. I'm like, it's just another day, just another day in the office. I'm gonna get out there. The second that gun starts, I know I got this race. There's a bunch of these guys in this race, but so am I.
And what happened at the finish?
I ended up winning by around 10 meters. I think I went 47.6, took over the number one spot in the state, and then won the districts.
Yeah. So what happened, y'all? So he ran 47.65, and then the gentleman that was at Westview at the time, they ran later that night, and he ran 47.40. So
Mhm.
we were pretty much just rubbing our palms together and like looking forward to this state competition,
Mhm.
you know. So we get to state, we get to prelims. Walk us through it.
Prelims coming in, Hayward Field it is a very nice stadium. I've never been in something like that. So walking out, you're just looking around. The crowd is packed. Everyone's cheering. It's quite the atmosphere, But I mean, go back to what I said earlier. That kind of mentality I got a little bit from goalkeeping. It kind of helped me stay calm. Prelims I wouldn't say are my strength. I always get a little prelim jitters and more calm in the finals. But I knew the people I was running with in the prelims weren't the top dogs, so I knew I could just chase off the second fastest guy and just kind of go past in the last 50 meters, and that's exactly what I did. I think I went maybe a 48 high, 49 low in the prelims, and all I knew was just get to the finals to see Fuad there.
Yeah. So we get to the finals, y'all. Fuad's in lane 4, Alex is in lane 5. And, we, throughout the whole year, we always talk 400-meter race modeling. 400-meter race modeling. I'm not going to get into that, but I tell him to just stay with the race model. And
Hmm.
Alex is like, Coach, I can't see him. I said, oh, you will see him. You will see him. And leading up to that, a major emphasis in our practices was being able to stay relaxed coming off the final turn and just being able to march to the finish without emphatic facial expressions, without straining, without tightening up at the neck, and without tightening up at the shoulders. And for the record, my football knowledge played a big part in it, because you watch a lot of film, and I would see in Fuad's best races, he would still tie up, even though he was hitting
Hmm.
incredible times at the time for our state. And I'm like, Alex, you have to stay relaxed. He hasn't felt anybody breathing on him like you. And what I predict is the last 50, 40, 30 meters, it's going to happen. You're going to pass him up. Talk to us, talk us through that last 100 meters.
Last 100 that was the big 100 coming into the race. We knew that he ties up, and that last 100 meters was my specialty. And so we coming into the race knowing that he was going to win the first 300 meters. I knew he'd get right out in front of me. He'd be on my inside, but it'd be the last 50 to 25 meters where I'd gain him. And then last 10 meters, I was planning on catching him. And that's about exactly what happened. I'm coming off the 250. I see him on my inside. Then we're at the 300. He's maybe 5 meters, and then every 10 meters, I'm 1 meter closer to him, and then 15 meters, I've left to go. I've got him. He feels me. He tries to kick back up to catch me again, but his body can't handle it. He goes right down on the floor, and I walk myself to a state title.
Yeah, and if you're listening to this, the crowd erupted because they were there. He was the crowd favorite at the time. And what it looked like to me from the stands, I thought he was trying to dive. And I later talked to him. I said, "What happened, man? Like honestly, it looked like you were trying to dive." He said, "Coach, my legs just gave out."
Yeah,
And it it alludes to how we train and how we get out of the for the first 100 at 92 to 95%. We're putting pressure on you right away. And I knew that he hadn't been tested like that, and I
mhm.
appreciate you listening and trusting me as a coach, man.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
you win a state title there. We go to Nike Nationals. Next thing I know, you're in the last fall, you're at Puget Sound University.
hmm
Um, and you get to the indoor national championships. Share
Yeah.
with us that.
Well, coming into my indoor season, I was still up at the 47.6, which was around the qualifying time for for an indoor nationals for the D3 level. At the UW invite, I went down to 47.3, so got qualified in coming in sixth place into the nationals meet. I comfortably run through the through the prelims. So I make the finals. I'm there. I'm with the best guys in the country at the time, and going into the race, I really felt that there was no way I'd get any other place besides first or second. I looked around at these guys, and I knew they were the best of what the Division three indoor had to offer at the time, and I thought that I was just I could compete with them. My times were around the same, and I knew coming into it, I was just like, it's my race, and we get to the race, we start strong, we come off the turn, then we got Lance Jensen, 400-meter hurdler national champion, beats me to the stagger, and I stick with him the whole race, and then coming right to the line, he kind of outleans me. So then I got second in that race by 0.02 seconds, 200ths of a second. Ended up getting second, runner up NCAA indoors in my third indoor race ever. So, it wasn't a huge disappointment, but I couldn't sleep for a few nights for sure.
Yeah, and that's the competitive nature of them, ladies and
Mhm.
gentlemen. So fast forward, uh, 4 or 5 months later, you're at the Division 3 Nationals, and you're in the finals.
Yeah,
Talk to me.
Division three outdoor nationals. It's similar scenario, but now I was coming in seated second, and then the guy coming in first, Eric Gregory, was the two times national champion in the outdoor 400-meter dash, coming with a 45.9 PR. Absolute beast of a runner. I was coming in 46.3, and no, I knew he was the guy to beat. He was looking for three national titles in a row, and I pushed him to a 45.7 that day. And we had a lot of delays coming into that race. 20 minutes before we got into the blocks, we got 2-hour thunderstorm delays, and I think only me and Eric Greger were the only two guys that kind of stayed focused and stayed locked in for that race. Everyone else kind of got a little heavy. No one really ran what they should have, but me and Eric Greger, we both PR'd that race. I ended up going 46.2 right behind him. He went in 45.7, which was a insane PR for that guy. Props to him. He's one of the best runners, and actually a world record holder for the depth runners. That guy's a troop, and I did everything I could in that race. I ran it perfectly, but I wasn't done improving at that moment. So I was all right with the second, but
So
still a little close.
you go 46-2 at the Division 3 Outdoor Nationals,
46.2, yeah.
and that qualifies you for was that Nike Nat what U20
Yeah,
Nationals?
so U20 Nationals qualifier was about 47 flat. So I had already qualified for the meet, but I wanted a little bit of a faster time before I had declared, and that's what I did. And so I ended up about a week after the NCAA Nationals, I declared for the U20 Nationals, which was down in Eugene about a month later. And then we transitioned.
Walk us. So going in that you to make the finals, what did you have to finish like top two in your heat?
Yeah, so finals to make the finals was top two in the heat and then top two fastest times. And coming into the competition, I was seeded sixth. So I was pretty confident that I'd get into the finals, but inside my heat, I had four of the fastest people in the country. So I had a guy from Princeton, two of the fastest high schoolers almost in existence besides Quincy Wilson, City and Jai and Irvin Pearson the third, both at 45 fours or something real low. And coming in that prelim race, I knew that it was more than just a prelim. Each race is a make or break kind of thing, and I knew that the guys that were 45 fours, they weren't going to take that race 100%. They were going to try and coast to the finals, and my goal was to take advantage of that, and that's exactly what I did. I ended up winning the prelim race with I think it was a 46-4, something like that, and and running that race, it felt like I had a lot more energy to give out. I finished a 400 and I was like, all right, I'm feeling okay. And that's not usually what happens after a 46 low 400 for me. So I knew I had a lot more to give to the finals, and what me and Deshaun have gone through with the recovery side of things. I knew that my recovery was better than everyone else. What I had learned from him,
You
given
damn right.
given a little gadgets we have, the microcurrents, everything from ice baths to hot showers, cold showers, everything. I did everything I could that night to get myself one level up.
Yeah, that's what I appreciate about you because, ladies and gentlemen, I've introduced him to some tools that might be intermediate at a price point. Is definitely an investment, and between him, himself, his mom and dad, he's invested, and that's what I'm talking about. Believing in the program and the things that I've taught him, and he's an exercise science major, and it worked out. And
Hmm.
one of the things going back to his confidence, I said, so we got to finish in the top six, right, to make the U20 team.
Hmm.
He said, no, coach, I'm finishing in the top two. Walk us through the final.
Finals, for me, finals are infinitely better than the prelims. When you're the prelims, you got the worry of I need to make the finals, but you're at the finals. It is what it is. You did the hard work already, and at that point, it's just you versus everyone else on the day. You're gonna run as fast as you do, and I come in, I start out real hot. I get the jump on I think almost every single person in that race. Coming around to 300, I'm level with every single person. I got City and Jai, fastest high schooler, Jaden Davis of ASU, NCAA champion in the 4x4, uh, David O'Donnell to Princeton, Ivy League champs. So I'm toe to toe with those guys, and coming down the backstretch, we fought it out. I ended up getting third right behind Jaden Davison by hundredths of a second. And third place was huge for me, and I was seeded sixth. So that means I made the relay team, and I ended up going 45 and 93, breaking that 46-second barrier, which was a big hurdle for almost all 400 runners. And making that relay team for Team USA down in the World Championships was a crazy feeling on the track. Knowing I'm not seeded to make it almost, and then I made it as one of the top guys.
So one day, y'all, we're running a 4x4 in late March, early April, in what was that, 2023?
Yeah, 23.
And then it was like a dream. One day we wake up in Peru. I'm in Lima, Peru for U20s. I see him down there. I see his mom down there. I see his dad. Got a chance to hang out with John Rhodes, aka Father Francis, for about 3 or 4 days in a row, eating some nice ceviche. Uh, you're on the 4x4
Hmm.
prelims. Walk us through it.
Prelims coming in, national team debut. It's not a feeling I can even describe. Walking out with a Team USA uniform, lining up against teams like Botswana and Australia and South Africa was in our heat, and they had some quick guys. So Obviously a little nervous, you know. I was chosen to anchor the 4x4 for the prelim race, which, you know, it gives me a lot of pride to be chosen for kind of such a position in such a big race, especially because we were kind of seated as the favorites coming in. And my goal for the prelim race was run the fastest time at any of the prelim guys, because top two guys in the prelim race will go into the finals with the open 400-meter runners. And you know, come when I got the baton, I was about 30 meters ahead of everyone. So, you know, it was solid. You know, I could have walked and jogged that 400 and we would have been completely fine, but I knew that wasn't an option. I still had to give it all out, and ended up running a 45, 80, 83 or 85 in that split. So that was PR for me, at least in the splits, and then got the fastest time and moving right on to the finals. We knew what we had to do.
Yeah, so you get to finals, and he's right. It's like when you're out of the country and you're watching your own countrymen compete, it is a different type of feeling. I got a story about that, but anyway, continue. We get to
So
the finals.
yeah, we're at the finals, you know, last event of the entire meet. So stadium is packed, lights are on. It's, you know, everyone is the fastest in the world for the age groups. We've got South Africa which is our biggest competition coming in that. We got a guy running 45 too. He was not my leg, but I got moved to third leg for the finals, which is my preferred leg. So I was pretty happy about that. You know, we get onto the track and it actually started raining right onto the track. And, you know, being from Portland, Oregon, that was probably one of my favorite moments from the whole trip. You know, just being like, I'm in my element now, you know, I'm running fast. And, you know, these guys who used to the hot weather, they don't know what to do now. And, you know, we go out, every single guy on that team I knew was gonna run a beast of a leg. So we all went 45 highs, some went 45 sevens, and you know, I got the baton in third, and I increased our lead by about a full second, get it to City and Jai who anchored us off, and then he brought it home for that world championship.
Talk to us about the feeling of winning a gold medal.
I about to say it's the craziest natural high I'll ever experience in my life. I don't think anything can top that. You can dream about the feeling, and you can relish in all the hard work that you've done. But once you actually get to that moment, it's not something you can ever expect or anticipate. It's just not. It's like an out of this world feeling. You know, you do all your celebrations. They put a flag around your back, and you're taking photos. You're signing autographs. You're doing everything with like all the fans, the Peruvian people, and bless their hearts. They're like all asking for photos with the teams, and it was surreal. It was about 20 minutes on the track where it was just celebrations with everyone. You know, I think for me in track, that is what I'm going to chase for the rest of my life. It's it's unbeatable. You know, it makes all the hard work, you know, all the blood, sweat, and tears, the missed social events to do recovery at Deshaun's place at night, the hours I spent in my garage cross training with an injury. It makes every single one of those moments so much better, so much worth it.
Yeah, I mean, we pretty much worked together the whole summer
Mhm.
leading up with that. Had some college kids in town. One kid that was at Biola University, he's at Grand Canyon. Demercy Magani from Portland State. We got some other local high school talent coming out. How would you say those guys help prepare you, for the U20 Worlds?
I mean, I think I think it made the biggest difference in the world. You know, I think running alone is extremely challenging. You know, I had some workouts that it was just me doing like 5 300s, and that was probably some of the hardest days I've had my whole year. And in the other half of the workouts, it was 250s, and then these incredible sprinters were with me for 150 to 200 meters, and being able to fly off those guys and know that I need to be running this fast because it I'm going to the world championships. It's the best of the best there. I need to be training like the best of the best doing having them there every single day. You know, every rep I did, they were supporting me. they kind of knew that they were there to help me a lot, but I mean, they were helping themselves too. And just all of it was every single one of them showing up every single day. I think there was maybe 5 or 6 guys that supported me almost every single day when it comes to it. And it made the world of a difference.
Yeah, it did. I really appreciate those guys. And then you know, what I do as a coach when we're in the summer, my goal is to find college guys. I want to find somebody faster than you, or at least give you a
Mhm.
problem for the first 100 meters,
Yeah.
150, 200, 250. And we had Dylan and DeMercy for that. Edward, we had a jumper. These guys are jumpers, but they're running fast. And man, it was a great summer. It was a great team effort. That was our best summer so far in the 5 years that I've been doing this program outside. You know, one of the things I wanted to get into before we close out, you know, you're falling in love with track. You're getting deep into track culture. You're understanding the process of becoming a better sprinter. Excuse me. What advice would you give to a young sprinter that aspires to do some of the things that you've done, like being a state champion, uh,
Hmm.
going to the U20s, going to the Olympics? You know, there's always the goal or there's always talk, but the balance to that is action. So what would you say to these youngsters out here?
I think the two biggest things I can say are the importance of recovery, and I'll touch on that in a second, and then the hard work. The hardest part of the track and field is the last rep in your fall training. You know, you put in the hard work not in your races, not 2 weeks prior, but the months before your competition. That's where the hard work is put in. That's where you earn your world championships. That's where you earn your national titles. That's where you earn your state championships. It's that work, that early grind, put your head down and just get to it. And then coming off of that, which I think more importantly is recovery. I mean, my body it it hurts a lot of the time. And I don't think if I did everything that I did, I mean, my body would not stay together. I wouldn't be as fast as I am because every day I'm doing something. If it's just a foam roller stretch, a pool workout, getting into the lab with Deshaun for at least 30 minutes a day, cupping myself, scraping myself, getting into my own recovery boots. I mean, anything, the smallest thing is really what pushes you over edge because when it comes down to it, there's going to be 1,000 guys in the country that are as talented as you and work as hard as you. But it's how much time you put outside the track doing that recovery and taking that extra step is what's going to separate you from the rest.
Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, you heard it here first. iBall Media, Sports Mastery with Alex Rhodes. Alex, I appreciate you taking the time to come on, man. I think this is the first of probably about two to three more interviews, but I appreciate your experience. Ladies and gentlemen, if you're listening to this, I think you should listen to it probably about 3 or 4 more times. But